You've met them. Maybe you are them. People who know nothing and are completely certain about everything. They flood the comment sections, they dominate office meetings, they convince themselves they're the smartest person in the room. But here's what's truly bizarre. The moment someone becomes competent, they become less confident. The moment they actually know something, doubt creeps in. Why does confidence and competence move in opposite directions? The answer reveals something unsettling about how your brain evaluates itself. In 1999, two social psychologists named David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger decided to run an experiment at Cornell University. They recruited students and had them take tests on logic, grammar, and humor. Pretty straightforward. After the test, they asked each student to rate their own performance. Guess how accurately people rated themselves? Not very. The students who scored in the bottom 12th percentile thought they'd scored in the 62nd percentile. These weren't just slightly off, they were off by 50 points. They thought they were average when they were actually terrible. Meanwhile, the best performers consistently underestimated their performance. The top students thought they were good. They weren't sure they were great. They doubted themselves. Dunning and Kruger didn't invent overconfidence. Overconfidence has existed for thousands of years, but they documented something precise. When you lack knowledge about a domain, you also lack the knowledge to know you lack it. This is the crucial detail. Your brain cannot evaluate what it does not know. It's literally impossible. Think about it from your brain's perspective. If you don't know much about psychology, you cannot accurately assess how much you don't know about psychology. You lack the reference point. You lack the framework. You lack the experience. So what does your brain do instead? It fills the gap with confidence. It assumes you're closer to understanding than you actually are. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Everyone does this. Not just the people who are obviously wrong. Everyone. Your brain is constantly making decisions about domains where it has incomplete information, and your brain is constantly overestimating its competence in those domains. You do it right now. You just don't see it because you're not looking at a domain where you're truly incompetent.
David Dunning followed up his original research with additional studies. In one, he had participants estimate how long it would take to assemble a CD shelf. On average, people predicted 42 minutes. The actual average was 81 minutes. They were off by nearly a factor of 2. Why? Because assembling furniture requires specific spatial reasoning skills and practical experience. When you lack those skills, you cannot accurately estimate the difficulty. Your brain doesn't know what it doesn't know, so it guesses optimistically. Now, here's the thing. Before we go deeper into this, I want to take a moment and ask, are you enjoying this? If this video is making you think, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your sign. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the videos that rewire how you see yourself and the world around you. Okay, back to the brilliant tragedy of your brain. Confidence requires something called metacognitive ability. Metacognition is thinking about your thinking. It's your brain's ability to evaluate its own performance. But metacognitive ability is a learned skill. You're not born with it. You develop it through feedback and honest self-assessment. And here's the problem. The people who need metacognitive feedback the most are the least equipped to recognize it when they receive it. If someone tells a confident, incompetent person they're wrong, that person's brain doesn't have the reference framework to understand the feedback. Dunning-Kruger conducted research showing that incompetent people don't just overestimate their ability in the moment. They continue to overestimate even after they're provided with explicit evidence of their incompetence. When shown a correct answer, they often attribute their failure to bad luck or unfairness rather than lack of skill. Your brain protects itself from the threat of incompetence by reinterpreting the feedback as external rather than internal. The problem wasn't you, it was circumstances, never the knowledge gap.
As you gain genuine competence in a domain, something shifts. You start to notice how much you don't know. You start to see the nuances. You start to encounter problems you can't solve with the knowledge you have. And that's when confidence drops. The better you get at something, the more aware you become of its depth and complexity. This is why the best scientists often express the most doubt. Richard Feynman, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, spent his career emphasizing how little he understood. He said, "I would rather have questions I cannot answer than answers I cannot question." He was not being falsely humble. He genuinely understood how vast the domain of physics was. So here's the key insight. Incompetence is invisible to the incompetent. This isn't a moral failing. It's a feature of how human brains work. Your brain cannot evaluate dimensions it hasn't learned to perceive. If you've never studied music, you cannot accurately assess the difference between a good violinist and a mediocre one. Your brain fills the gap. It says they're both good. It says you could probably do it with practice. The Dunning-Kruger effect gets strongest in domains that are easy to enter but difficult to master. Public speaking, writing, dating advice, political commentary. These domains all have something in common. The barrier to entry is low. Almost anyone can write an article or give their opinion, but mastery takes years. The moment someone writes one article, their brain assumes they understand the craft. They've never climbed to the summit, so they cannot see how tall the mountain actually is. Your ancestors relied on this feature. Overconfidence in ancient environments often led to survival. If you were uncertain about whether you could cross the river, you might miss the resource. Your brain evolved to err on the side of overconfidence. But in the modern world, overconfidence is destructive. It leads to financial ruin. It leads to failed relationships. It leads to people refusing medical treatment they need because they think they know more than their doctors. It leads to the internet comment section.
So what saves you? How do you escape this zone? The answer is humility paired with curiosity. Genuine humility about what you don't know, combined with genuine curiosity about what exists beyond your current understanding. The moment you assume you know enough, you stop learning. The moment you stop learning, you cannot tell the difference between competence and incompetence. You're trapped. But the moment you assume there's always more to learn, your brain starts to perceive the nuances. It starts to notice what it missed before. It starts to build the reference frame it needs for actual metacognitive accuracy. Seeking feedback from people more competent than you closes the gap. Learning closes the gap. Feedback closes the gap. But you have to be willing to receive it. The uncomfortable truth is this. If you're completely certain about something, you probably don't understand it yet. Certainty is a sign that you haven't climbed high enough on the mountain to see the full landscape. Uncertainty is a sign that you have. This doesn't mean paralysis. You can act even while uncertain. You can move forward while doubting. But the moment you perform certainty you don't feel, your brain locks into incompetence. You stop learning. You stop growing. You become one of those people, the ones who know nothing and are completely certain about everything. Every time you're absolutely sure you're right about something, ask yourself, what would I need to learn to realize I'm wrong? If you can't articulate it, that's a sign. That's your brain telling you the gap is too large for you to see. That's your incompetence whispering underneath your confidence. Listen to it. Stay curious. Stay humble. Because the moment you stop doubting, you've already started losing the ability to learn. By the way, if this video resonated with you, check out The Sleep Pattern That Built Civilization, Then Vanished. It digs even deeper into how your brain deceives you. Thanks for watching.